The story is told of a minister, a Boy Scout, and an elite technology developer who were the only passengers on a small plane. Suddenly, the pilot came rushing back to the cabin and said the plane was going down and there were only 3 parachutes for the 4 people. The pilot moved toward the door and said, "I have a wife and 3 kids, so I should have one of the parachutes." And out he went. The tech developer immediately said, "I should have one of the parachutes because I'm the smartest man in the world and everyone needs me." So he put one on and jumped. The minister turned to the Boy Scout and said with a somber smile, "You're young and your whole life is ahead of you. You take the remaining parachute and I'll go down with the plane." The Boy Scout said, "Don't worry, Pastor. The smartest guy in the world just jumped out of the plane with my knapsack." I'm Tom Miller, pastor of Central Assembly in Superior, Wisconsin, and the old joke helps make my point in Fuel for the Fire, Volume 701, A Proud Fall. Perhaps all sin can be traced back to pride. It was at the crux of the sin in the Garden of Eden as Eve longed for the forbidden fruit she hoped would make her wise. She grabbed the fruit and jumped out of the plane. Pride was also the root of Lucifer's fall in Isaiah 14, so he grabbed the knapsack and was tossed out of heaven. Pride goes before destruction, Proverbs 16:18 says, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Pride keeps us unteachable, prevents us from receiving sound advice, perpetuates blind spots, and hinders us from appreciating those younger and subordinate to us. Pride makes us ripe for sin and corruption. It's selfish and fails to consider others. It breeds arrogance and promotes overconfidence. James 4:10 tells us, "Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and He will lift you up." And the smartest man in the world demonstrates the flip side is true as well. If we exalt ourselves, God will bring us down. We see it over and over, from fallen TV evangelists to powerful politicians, world-class athletes, and celebrities of all kinds. The smartest men in the world continue to jump out of airplanes with knapsacks instead of parachutes. On the other hand, Scripture reminds us how Jesus treated children and sinners and lepers and the lowly. Though he was the King of Kings, he demonstrated kindness, patience, and mercy to those who had nothing to offer him in the eyes of the world. The least of these, Scripture calls them. Paul exhorts us to not think of ourselves more highly than we ought to think. Then we will be much less likely to be the one ripping the knapsack from the Boy Scout and jumping out of the airplane. It's pride that goes before a fall. That's the way I see it, and that's a little fuel for the fire. And remember, I love you guys.